Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Rollup. My name is Kagan Dunlap, and Monday through Friday, we put together a compilation of 5 to 7 stories that are like current affairs related or news related in some way, and we mash them all together for a nice, easily digestible video to inform you about what's going on in the world around you. So welcome back for those of you that have come here before, and welcome in for the people that have never been. I hope you enjoyed the video, and without further ado, let's get right into it. On July 31st of 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order reinstating the presidential fitness test into U.S. public schools, which essentially is going to bring a program back to life that ran from the late 1950s until 2013. Now, the test was originally introduced in 1966 under President Lyndon B. Johnson and was replaced by the Presidential Youth Fitness Program under President Barack Obama, which changed the program a little bit because originally it used to be about competitive performance and shifted it a little bit more towards individual health. Now, at least on the surface, it seems that the test is going to be reinstated in order to promote fitness among youth and address concerns about rising obesity rates, chronic disease, and inactivity with the goal of fostering a culture of strength and excellence in America again. Now, the presidential fitness test includes exercises like a 1-mile run, sit-ups, pull-ups, or push-ups, and a shuttle run, as well as a sit and reach flexibility test. Now, those of you that are old enough to remember, you remember just how not flexible you are, at least for me, because I definitely have never been very flexible. But the point of this whole thing is designed to assess cardiovascular fitness, strength, endurance, agility, and also flexibility. Now, students who score in the top 15th percentile are going to be eligible for the Presidential Fitness Award, which I've never heard of before, but I'm assuming you would probably get brought to DC, or maybe they would award it to you at the school. I'm not sure. But anyway, the program is going to be administered by the Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, with golfer Bryson DeChambeau chairing the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, which was also reestablished by this executive order. Now, the Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition has been tasked with creating school-based programs in order to reward excellence in physical education and partnering with athletes and sports organizations in order to promote active lifestyles. Now, critics have argued that this test's competitive nature has caused anxiety for people in the past and is going to result in causing more in the future, while supporters have argued that it's going to instill discipline and pride. Now, while there may be some people for it and some people against it, the White House emphasizes that it's going to have a major role in combating declining youth health and boosting military readiness, academic performance, and national morale. So the White House just announced that they're going to be adding a very massive expansion to the White House. In fact, it's going to be a $200 million expansion project to construct a 90,000 square foot ballroom in the East Wing, and it's set to begin in September of 2025. Apparently, the project is funded by the president and other private donors, and it's aiming to modernize the White House's event hosting capabilities by replacing the East Wing, which currently houses offices, including those of the First Lady. Now, the ballroom is supposed to be expected to accommodate up to 650 seated guests, which is a significant increase from the 200-person capacity of the East Room, and eliminates the need for temporary tents used for large events like state dinners. Now, from what I've read, the design is led by McCreary Architects with Clark Construction and AECOM, and will maintain the White House's neoclassical architectural heritage, including gold chandeliers, Corinthian columns, a coffered ceiling, and large arched windows. The ballroom is going to be separated from the main building, but connected via an enclosed walkway, with the intent of preserving the historical aesthetic of the building. Now, like I said, construction is supposed to begin in September of 2025, and it's expected to be completed before President Trump's term ends in January of 2029. Apparently, the White House is going to be posting updates about this project on the whitehouse.gov website/visit, like as they're going through the construction process. Now, obviously, there's two sides to the way people are feeling about this. The project sparked a little bit of debate, with some supporters praising it as a necessary upgrade, and critics, including preservationists, questioning its necessity and aesthetic choices, particularly the extensive use of gold. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? How are we feeling? All right, so this is a pretty cool story. I haven't seen anything quite like this before. Apparently, in a operation on the Seversk front, the 4th Brigade of Ukraine's National Guard, known as the Rubizh Brigade, used a heavy drone to deliver an electric bike to a wounded soldier with the call sign Tankist. Now, the soldier was the sole survivor of a 4-man unit that was holding a surrounded position for about 5 days against Russian forces, and he was unable to evacuate the area because he had some injuries on his feet, and the nearest friendly position away from him was 1.5 kilometers away. Now, this soldier, nicknamed Tankist, faced constant enemy assaults, including a reported war crime involving poisonous gas. So the brigade devised a plan to get him out of there. So what they did is they airlifted an electric bike that weighed around 88 pounds or so, and they used heavy drones like the Vampire or Heavy Shot, which are typically used as bombers. But the first time they tried, it failed because the drone was shot down. And then the second time, it crashed due to the engine burning out. So for the third time that they tried, the bike was disassembled, delivered to a closer position, reassembled, and successfully dropped to Tankist using a winch, as shown in the footage that was released by the brigade. Now, Tankist used the bike to escape, but ended up hitting a landmine about 400 meters away from safety, triggering an explosion, which is just horrible luck. Jesus. In any case, he ended up surviving with a leg injury and limped about 200 meters further, where his friends were able to meet him with a second electric bike, also delivered by drone, so that he could reach a safe zone after a 15-minute ride. Now, this is the very first time that PV drones have been used to airlift a vehicle in a war zone, which I would say is one of the most innovative things I have seen come out of this war, especially using drones to overcome logistical challenges during the conflict. So according to the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz and also Al Jazeera and a few other sources, on July 31st of 2025, the Israeli Air Force conducted a series of airstrikes targeting Hezbollah's strategic weapons infrastructure inside of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, including areas in the northeastern and southern parts of the country. The strikes were focused on manufacturing and storage facilities for what Israel describes as strategic weapons, with the primary target being Hezbollah's largest precision-guided missile productions plant that's near the village of Brital. Now, the site's been hit by numerous previous operations, but what happens is they get hit, they fix stuff up, they clear it back up, and then they start stockpiling it there again, so then they strike it again. Now, the reports have been indicating that the Israeli Air Force targeted explosive production sites, underground storage facilities, and other infrastructure linked to Hezbollah's efforts to rebuild its arsenal. Or some sources have been specifying that they conducted 16 separate airstrikes, although official Israeli statements did not confirm the exact number. So this is pretty wild, and if this turns out to be true, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of really upset people. Apparently, according to the Twitch streamer and Novo.TV chief marketing officer Devin Nash, he claims that 400 to 430 of the top 500 Twitch streamers are involved in view botting, either directly or indirectly, with 30% to 40% of their viewers being obvious bots and an additional 5 to 15% from embedded views. Now, I don't really understand what view botting means that well because I've only recently started streaming. I don't really understand it. The only thing I kind of can surmise when people have explained it to me is that essentially you're having bots come into your channel to view you while you're streaming to make it look like you have more people watching you. And people have done it in the past to, become Twitch partners, to make more money in ads, like to do all kinds of stuff like that. That's the short and skinny of it from what I understand based on what people have explained to me. Now, anyway, so he criticized Twitch for not punishing view botters unless they expose it on stream. And he said, quote, "We can't know if it's the streamer or someone else," end quote. He also tried to say that Twitch incentivizes botting by streamers, managers, and agencies, and he said that it's often linked to scams and viewer exploitation. So what they did to find out this information is they analyzed the top 15,000 streams by monitoring chat activity, user lists, and ratios of logged in/logged out viewers every few minutes. They cross-referenced usernames with botnet databases to identify irregularities, and that's how they got some of this data. Now, this is something that's really crazy. Apparently, there are claims from the Kick streaming service co-founder Trainwreck that some streamers pay upwards of $20,000 per week for advanced bots, and that 90% of Twitch's top 100 are view botting. That is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. Now, obviously, I don't know if this is true. There's no way for me to verify this because I still don't really understand how people view bot. You got to know people that know people that know people probably to be able to do this kind of stuff. But also, you're spending, that's a lot of money, $20,000 a week. You better be making like 10 times that if you're spending that much, because you're probably paying for editors. You're probably paying for like everything else and rent and food and like groceries. And anyway, the Twitch community's reacted pretty strongly in both directions. Some people are saying, yes, this is true and this is definitely happening. Some people saying that, no, this is nonsense, right? I don't know who's in favor of what, but I will say I have seen a video before where a streamer was live streaming and they got banned after they accidentally revealed a ViewBot app while on stream, like while live. I think that a lot of these people, they probably hide it. And so if they don't get caught on stream using it, maybe it's harder for the people to prove it. I don't know. The CEO of Twitch, Dan Clancy, countered this by saying thousands of small streamers are the main culprits, admitting that uncertainty about the number of bots that are on the platform. Now, to be fair, the platform recently did update its systems to combat viewbotting, making it harder by requiring proxies instead of simple incognito tabs. But again, if you're spending $20,000 a week on advanced bots, they're going to evade that detection. That's pretty wild to think about because like they're spending $20,000 so that they can get tons of viewers in there to make potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do you think this is a problem? I really don't know because I don't know enough about that stuff. Like I've heard about people talking about viewbotting, but I just don't know. So what do you guys think? Think it's a problem or what? All right, so that's it for today's daily roll-up for August 1st. I appreciate you guys joining. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Hopefully we all gained something valuable from this. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys coming to the channel. Please let us know in the comments below if there's anything that you think we've done well, if there's things that you think we should continue doing, if there's things that you think we should improve upon. It helps us refine these things to make them better for you. It also helps boost the algorithm for this particular video so it reaches more people. And it helps us communicate back and forth so that way we can provide a better product for you. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and we will see you in the next video.